ACC, please put your hands together for the Director of Conventional Operations from Energy Fuels, Mr. Logan Shumway.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here today to be able to talk to you a little bit about what we do, what my company does, Energy Fuels. I believe we have some slides that we'll see if we can get those pulled up. What I'm going to be telling you about what my company does is, the company I work for is kind of more where the tire meets the road for some of the stuff that we've been talking about today. So this is what you see there is, in the background is a photo of our site. We actually operate in Utah, and really, even in Utah, we're a little bit not so well known. But we're a uranium, vanadium, and more recently a rare earth, and some actually some other radioisotopes that we're looking at getting into. But we're a very, very unique site, and so I'm going to go through a little bit about what we do. If we can get the slides back up here. I might be doing something wrong, I'm not sure. Okay, we need to go back. All right, so, yeah, there we go. There's just a map of where we operate. That star down in southeastern Utah, that's where our main facility is. It's the White Mesa Mill, and it's, like I said, it's a uranium vanadium facility. It's the last one in the United States, and that's a big statement. That's a scary statement, and I'll explain why a little bit better here in just a minute. So hopefully there's some chemistry people here. Hopefully this is not completely unfamiliar to everyone. But let's talk about some of these elements, these critical materials that it's been talked about today. So uranium, that's a pretty common thing. People know about uranium. That's the heaviest element there, down there in the bottom, the U. Something that's not as well known are these rare earths. And just for my benefit, if you guys don't mind, raise your hand if you know what rare earths are. If you've heard of rare earths, okay, I got some. That's good. So there we go. So the rare earths, mostly though, people don't know what exactly that means. And so what the rare earths are, when you hear somebody talk about rare earths, it's that green line there, that second to the bottom there on the periodic table. And they're weird names. They're things that you don't hear very often. Neodymium, praseodymium, terbium, dysprosium, samarium, things like that. But they're very, very important for this, energy transition that we've been talking about today, and that's been really, prevalent the last few years. So, how important are these things? Uranium's been talked about a lot, but let's talk about it a little, get into some of the other details that I haven't heard mentioned yet. So 19% of the United States power comes from nuclear. I don't think most people understand that. That's a big chunk. And then on the carbon side, 50% of our carbon-free power comes from nuclear. The next two bullets to me are maybe the most important ones. So in the United States, 40 million pounds of uranium are consumed annually. That's a pretty big number. We're the largest consumer of uranium in the world. But the next bullet is what really, could get scary. The last few years, production in the United States has been less than 200,000 pounds a year. That's a tiny fraction of what we consume. And most of that production has been at our facility down in southeastern Utah. So if uranium and nuclear is critical, it's more than just nuclear power plants. There's this whole supply chain in the front end of it that we need to know about, need to be aware of, and we need to make sure we get back here in the United States. I mean, we used to have a very, very strong nuclear industry from the front end, the mining, processing. That's what our site does. Our site, we take the uranium from the ground and we turn it into pure uranium. And from there, there's still a couple steps. There's enrichment and then fuel fabrication. But yeah, that's a pretty scary story right there. So we're working on changing that. We have plans in the next few years to produce a lot more uranium, and hopefully there's more throughout the country, actually. So let's see. There we go. That's just a graphical of what I was just talking about. All right, now what are rare earth magnets? A little bit less known, right? So rare earth magnets are mostly valuable for their ability to make really, really strong magnets. in almost every electric motor, that's how they work. You need permanent magnets in that motor to make it run. And so right now, the strongest magnets you can make in the world are made from rare earths. There's no other substitute. Huge demand in electric vehicles. They increase electric vehicle efficiencies by 10%, which is huge, and they're used in, every one of your cell phones today has rare earths in it. So where do they come from? That's also a global issue. This is a graph that's a little bit hard to see what you're looking at. It's it's that disc there with 4 rings in it that's explaining or showing where this rare earth production comes from. And the biggest takeaway from it is that it's mostly red, and red represents China. And the other takeaway thing is the United States is in light blue there. There's not a lot of light blue. There's a little bit on the front end, on the mining side, but beyond that, there's zero. And that's what our company will be doing next year actually, it should be updated this year, but even more so next year. That next ring there will have more blue in it for what we're doing. We are producing rare earths in southeastern Utah now. So not just the mining of it, but we're doing the front end of the processing. But this just tells a story of, the situation that we've gotten ourselves into in the United States. We consume a lot, we have a lot of things, and we don't do a lot of production. So the stuff that's being talked about here is really important. We need to get it back, and this really puts into perspective how behind we are. Here's some, news articles on the rare earth and the uranium side. It's a big problem that's starting to be publicized. So hopefully you've heard about it on both sides. China dominates rare earths, and Russia dominates uranium. There's obviously problems with that when we outsource this. It's been mentioned and spoken about well today. We do it better here than anybody else in the world. So we should, help other people understand that and recognize it ourselves, and hopefully put in good policy and get the perception right to where we can do these things. We used to produce more uranium and rare earths than the rest of the world. It's unfortunately gone away. So let's see, to finish up, just want to show a couple pictures of our team. There are people out there that are doing this stuff every day. They show up at 7 o'clock every morning. There's a picture of our first shipment of rare earths going out. Again, the only rare earth production in the United States that's happening. That's on the upper left. And some of our R&D facilities there. So work is happening. There is stuff that's going on, but we need more of it. So I'm going to finish up. I appreciate the chance to talk to you guys about this. It's really important. I've been really impressed with what you guys are doing here. Continue to spread these messages, learn, and I think we'll end up in a good place. So thank you.